Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 3 cards using these gorgeous washi tape stickers from the Washi Tape shop. I've got 3 different card ideas and one I'm really excited to share with you because it involves using Gilding Flakes as well. These 3 rolls of tape come as a set. They're the mini Snippets washi tape sticker set from the Washi Tape shop. I'll leave links in the description box below, and I also have a special coupon code as well to share with you. But yeah, they're really gorgeous. Lots of different variety on each of the rolls, lots of different stickers. The designs are repeated every 38 centimetres on the roll, and you get 5 metres on a roll. So there's lots of washi tape to play with. So for the first card background, I'm going to make my backgrounds first and then I'll show you how we turn them into cards. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this kind of torn edged washi tape sticker sheets just to create a really fun background. And I'm just going to line all the stickers up randomly across the panel, leaving a little white gap between each of the stickers so that it gives like a really fun broken effect background kind of design. And the great thing about these strips is because they're all different shapes and sizes and different edges, you can get a really fun pattern. Now, of course, you don't need these washi tape sticker sheets to do this. You could just use torn bits of washi tape from your own collection. So bear that in mind when you're watching this, because you could definitely use this with washi tape scraps. So there's our first background. I'm going to pop that to one side. For the second background, again, I'm going to use a very similar technique, but this time I'm using the washi tape that's got straight edges on it. So these are just like little washi tape strips. And I'm just going to line them up all over that panel to create a solid background of washi tape stickers. And so it really creates a patchwork effect background. It's a really fun way of using up washi tape stickers, but of course it's a great way of using up washi tape that you've got in your stash. Just cut loads of different pieces to size, stick them all over your panel, create a real patchwork effect, and then you've got a really fun background to create something with. So again, I'm just going to pop that to one side. Now, I've already created a third panel using the same technique that I used for the first one. So just adding those washi tape strips. And then I've got a paintbrush and the Tacky when dry gel medium from the Crafter's Workshop. And I'm just going to kind of paint that all in between the strips of the washi tape. So all of those white areas, I'm just adding a very thin layer of that gel medium. And so what's going to happen is when this dries, it's going to dry tacky, which is then going to mean that we can add our gilding flakes all along those lines, and it's going to create a really fun kind of broken tile effect, or kind of is a little bit reminiscent of the Japanese way of repairing pottery, Kintsugi, where they use gold around all the broken pieces of pottery to stick them together and create something more beautiful. So I have left it to dry just for a few moments off camera, and now I'm coming in with my gilding flakes, and I'm using the Chariot of Fire gold gilding flakes from IndigoBlu. I know I mention it every time I use gilding flakes, but they really are my favourite brand of gilding flakes to use. I think just because the flakes are so big, they're a really good size, so they're a lot easier to work with, they don't get too static, and yeah, I just find the whole process a lot easier. And so all I'm doing is just adding gilding flakes with my fingers, covering all of those lines where we've got the Tacky when dry gel medium. And then I'm just coming in with a paintbrush now just to remove off the excess. And so once I've removed off all of the excess gilding flakes and popped all of that dust back into the pot, I'm then going to bring in my nesting dies. I've got the Hero Arts Infinity Nesting Heart dies, and I'm going to use one of the dies to die cut from this panel that we've created. So I'm just making sure that I get a nice selection of washi tape and a nice selection of the gilding flakes, and then I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine. And you can see here that it's die cut perfectly from that panel. So we can definitely save the excess of that panel for another project, another time. But now I'm just going to bring in my Wow embossing pad and a scrap of paper, and I'm just going to add embossing ink all over that heart panel. And what I'm going to do is add clear embossing powder all over it and heat set it. And this is really going to kind of cement the washi tape and the gilding flakes in place and give it a really glossy finish. And this is a great technique if you've got old washi tape that you find it keeps peeling up for whatever reason, then you can definitely add a layer of clear embossing powder over the top of any creations that you make, and then that way it will seal it in place. I'm not doing that for this reason for this piece. I'm purely doing it so that I get that kind of resin tile effect. But yeah, it's definitely a good technique if you want to seal any washi tape down in place. So I just added 3 coats of embossing powder there. I'm sorry that the camera shot was a bit rubbish as it was melting, but you can see now we've got that gorgeous glossy finish on that tile. And you don't need to keep adding your embossing ink when you're doing this. You can just keep adding the powder over the top of the hot powder and that will grab it, while you then can heat set it again from underneath. But yeah, I think it looks gorgeous. So let's start putting these cards together, and first of all I'm going to use that Gilding Flake heart that we've just created. I'm using some Belly Arts liquid glue and I'm sticking it directly down onto my card blank. I'm using a homemade US A2 size side folding card that I've created, and because my glass mat is magnetic I could use my magnets to hold it down while the glue grabbed. So I'm going to add a sentiment from the Checking In stamp set. This is the Kristina Werner Concord and 9th stamp set, and I really like that "You Are Loved" sentiment. It fits really nicely in that bottom corner. As you just saw, I did use the acetate packaging with the sentiment on just to check that it would fit. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to work it out because the stamp is slightly bigger on the photopolymer, but using the acetate backing sheet that's got the stamp outline on can really help you to see if it's going to fit and how it's going to look. So I'm going to use my stamping platform to stamp this sentiment because it's a solid sentiment. I want to make sure I get a really good impression and I don't want to mess it up, being as I've already stuck the heart down to my card blank. And so I've just stamped that twice there in the bottom right hand corner. I'm just going to add a few flat back gold pearls just to finish off this card. So I'm just using liquid glue and a wax pencil to help move them around. And then that is the first card finished, and I think it looks really, really pretty. That shine on the heart with the Gilding Flakes and the washi tape scraps just looks really, really pretty. So for the second card, I'm going to keep this nice and simple. I'm just going to trim it down to be 3.5 by 4 3/4, and then I've got a blue layer of cardstock that I'm going to cut down to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and then I'm just going to use my liquid glue just to stick those together. Once that's stuck down, I'm just going to add a sentiment die. So again, this is a Concord and 9th die. It says "Thanks so much," and I've die cut the shadow layer in the same blue cardstock, and then obviously the sentiment in white, and I'm just again using liquid glue to stick that down. I'm going to glue this all down to an A2 card blank. Again, it's one that I've created. If you're in the UK, you can buy US size letter card from Craft Stash. Their creative craft products range. They've got a really good quality smooth white cardstock. It's great for your alcohol marker colouring, ink blending, and yeah, creating your own homemade card blanks as well. I was going to add some gems to this card, but I decided that I really liked it as it was, so I've kept that really nice and simple. For the third card, I'm using this embossing folder from Gina K Designs. This is the lattice embossing folder. It's a 2D embossing folder, and I find that these work really well for this technique. So I'm just going to run that through my Big Shot machine, and you can see now that we've got that gorgeous textured background. Very subtle, but it gives it kind of like a quilted look. So I'm going to just use my corner rounder punch and round off all of the corners on the card front as well. Again, this is a US A2 size card that I'm creating, but remember you can change up the sizes of these cards and create whatever size card that you prefer. I thought I was going to use that sentiment die, but I changed my mind, so just ignore that. But I'm just adding some foam tape to the back of this panel, and then I'm going to stick it down to the front of my card blank. So to finish off this card, I decided it needed more of a focal image, so I'm going to use this butterfly embossing folder from Sizzix. This is the 3D Impresslits embossing folder. It die cuts and embosses at the same time. I don't think this one's available anymore, but of course any butterfly die that you've got in your stash will work. And to just emphasise the embossing on the butterfly, I'm going to add some of this Fool's Gold metallic ink from Lisa Horton Crafts. This is one of the new colours, and I'm just going to lightly use my finger and go over all of the raised areas. So I'm kind of using it a bit like you would with a gilding wax, and I love the fact that because these are metallic inks, it's going to have a really subtle sheen on it as well. I don't know if the camera's picking the shine up, but you can see that it's really highlighted all the detail on that embossed butterfly. So I'm just going to add some liquid glue to the back of that, only to the body of the butterfly, so that the wings can stand up a little bit on the front of the card, and I'm just going to carefully stick that down, and then I'm going to add a little sentiment underneath. Again, I'm using the Kristina Werner stamp set, and I'm just going to use that really small sentiment that says "All the Hugs." I've already got a stash of stamped and die cut sentiments in the back of that packet, so they're ready to go, and I'm just going to add a couple of foam squares to the back of it to add a little bit of dimension. And then to finish off this card, I'm just going to add a few little flat back pearls to each of the corners, and then that'll be the card finished. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that you've enjoyed seeing these 3 cards come together. As always, all the products that I've used will be linked in the description box below, and I'll leave you some close-up photos now. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the box below. Let me know which is your favourite card, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button as well if you've enjoyed this tutorial. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, then please consider subscribing, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.